In the Front Range of the Rocky Mountains, about 55 miles, 89 kilometers, northwest of Denver in north-central Colorado, is where you'll find Rocky Mountain National Park. Estes Park to the east and Grand Lake to the west divide the park's location. The headwaters of the Colorado River are situated in the northwest of the park, with both the eastern and western slopes of the Continental Divide passing through its center. A great diversity of species can be found in the park's mountains, alpine lakes, and diverse climates and ecosystems, from lush forests to mountain tundra. On January 26, 1915, President Woodrow Wilson approved the Rocky Mountain National Park Act, defining the park's boundaries and securing the region for future generations. The primary road for cars, Trail Ridge Road, was constructed in the 1930s by the Civilian Conservation Corps. The park was one of the original World Biosphere Reserves when UNESCO named it in 1976. More than 4.5 million tourists came to the park for enjoyment in 2018. The park is one of the most popular in the national park system, coming in at third place among national parks in terms of visits in 2015. With 4,678,804 visitors in 2019, a 44% increase since 2012, the park once again saw record attendance. Approximately 1,074.28 square kilometers, or 265,461 acres, 414.78 square miles, of federal land make up Rocky Mountain National Park, while an additional 253,059 acres, 395.40 square miles, of wilderness managed by the U.S. Forest Service border the park. The park's core is generally bisected by the Continental Divide, with rivers and streams on either side of it flowing in opposite directions, westward into the Pacific and eastward toward the Atlantic. The Continental Divide forms a horseshoe-shaped curve for about 6 miles, 9.7 kilometers, traveling from south to north, before abruptly turning southward and westward out of the park, creating a geographical anomaly there. Because of the acute bend, streams from the range's eastern slopes join the Colorado River's headwaters, which flow south and west until they eventually reach the Pacific. While this is happening, streams from the western slopes join rivers that travel north, then east, then south, until finally arriving in the Atlantic. The park is divided into 5 areas or geographic zones. Region 1 is situated on the west, or Grand Lake, side of the Continental Divide and is well known for its moose and expansive meadows. The park's 30-mile loop of the Continental Divide National Scenic Trail passes through alpine tundra and other vistas. The park's Alpine Region 2 is home to accessible tundra paths at significant altitudes and is renowned for its breathtaking views. Mount Ida, which has tundra slopes and a panoramic view of the Continental Divide, is located inside this area. The Old Ute Trail, which historically connected settlements across the Continental Divide, ends near Forest Canyon Pass. The park's northernmost region, known as Region 3, is accessible from the Estes Park region and is famed for wilderness escape. A small mountain range in the park's northern region is called the Mummy Range. Compared to the other peaks in the park, the Mummies are often softer and more forested, while parts of their slopes are rough and extensively glaciated, particularly those near Ypsilon Mountain and Mummy Mountain. At the Continental Divide Research Center, the Cow Creek Trailhead is a picturesque location with a trail leading to Bridal Veil Falls. The core of the park, Region 4, offers easy access to roads and trails, beautiful views, and lake treks that include the most well-traveled paths. The simplest hike in the park to the Continental Divide is up Flat Top Mountain, which is a tundra hike. The trail to Hallett Peak crosses Flat Top Mountain, travels through 3 distinct temperature zones, follows the ridge that protects Tyndall Glacier, and culminates in an ascent to the peak. South of Estes Park in Region 5, which is renowned for its waterfalls and backcountry, are Long's Peak, the park's recognizable 14er, and the Wild Basin region. Rocky Mountain National Park has a subarctic climate, according to the Köppen climate classification system, with chilly summers and year-round precipitation. The climate of the park, which is renowned for its dramatic weather patterns, is determined by the intricate interplay of elevation, slope, exposure, and regional scale air masses. Some of the major weather occurrences in the area are caused by a collision of air masses from various sources. The park has strong, very wet snowfalls with total snow depth measured in the feet when warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico hits the Front Range. Within the park, higher elevation areas get twice as much precipitation than lower elevation areas, usually in the form of heavy snowfall in the winter. In the winter, there are often sudden blizzards, strong winds, and a substantial snowpack. Equipment for -35 degrees Fahrenheit or lower is required for high country overnight expeditions. The Continental Divide, which crosses the park's middle at its tall peaks and travels northwest to southeast, also has an impact on its climate. Two separate climate patterns are produced by the Continental Divide. One is typical of the east side near Estes Park, and the other is connected to the Grand Lake region on the west side of the park. In the winter, the west side of the park sees more snow, less wind, and clear, chilly days. From the mountain peaks to the valley levels, glacial geology may be seen in Rocky Mountain National Park. The most effective instruments for shaping this natural environment are vast quantities of moving ice. The park is covered in obvious signs left by enormous glaciers. Nearly 70 mammal species and almost 300 bird species can be found in Rocky Mountain National Park, among other species. The park's varied topography, which creates a multitude of habitats, is to blame for this diversity. However, several species, like as wolf packs, wolverines, grizzly bears, and American bison, have vanished from this park. Around 2,000 to 3,000 elk reside in the park throughout the summer, while 800 to 1,000 elk hibernate there. The National Park Service kills about 50 elk each winter due to a shortage of predators. Elk overgrazing has become a significant issue in the park's riparian sections, to the point where the NPS has had to fence them out of many important wetland habitats in order to encourage the growth of willows and aspens. The park is home to several ungulates, including bighorn sheep, moose, and mule deer in addition to elk. Pronghorn, moose, and bison were all eradicated from the park in the 1800s. The latter was brought back in 1978. Moose are increasingly regularly spotted in the park, particularly on its western side. The number of bighorn sheep in the park has increased and is now thought to be 350. Numerous predatory creatures, such as Canada lynx, foxes, bobcats, cougars, black bears, and coyotes, reside in the park. Before Rocky Mountain National Park was created in 1915, wildfires have been documented there. The Bear Lake Fire, which was sparked by a campfire that was improperly extinguished and lasted for 2 months in 1900, is one of the most notable wildfires. Trail Ridge Road connects the entrances in Grand Lake and Estes Park and is 48 miles, 77 kilometers long. The road, which mainly runs east-west and has numerous hairpin twists, traverses Milner Pass through the Continental Divide at a height of 10,758 feet, 3,279 m. The road's highest point is 12,183 feet, 3,713 meters, and 11 miles of it are above the tree line, or roughly 11,500 feet, 3,505 meters. The route, which is the highest continually paved highway in the nation, has numerous sizable turnouts at strategic locations where travelers can pause and take in the scenery. Alright everyone, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and see you in the next video.